and we're going to actually start playing as Australasia. So, moving over to that. Focus is, what are we able to do? We can do a democratic Australasia, we can do a syndicalist Australasia. Or victory of the AFM. Victory for the Guard. National Populists. Well, this is one that means that... Oh no, sorry, not National Populist. This must be National Populist. No, that's Paternal Autocrat. So you can do Victory for the Guard for anyone that is not National Populist. You can do the AFM if you are Paternal Autocrat. Which seems to be Independence. Yeah, that's definitely Independence. And then Syndicalist. And then Democratic. Increase British ties, long live the King. Okay, so Democratic and Victory for the Guard seems to be somewhat similar. That reaffirms Entente. Australian Guard restores order. This seems a bit more militarist. And this one seems a bit more industrial, I guess. Change in popularity of Authoritarian Democrat. Who's in charge right now? Authoritarian Democrats. Okay, and we have William Birdwood in charge. Alright, so we have an oversized fleet. Compared to Sardinia, you don't. Fleet coordination -10, dockyard output -25%, and consumer goods factories 5%. In the chaotic aftermath of Britain's downfall, many ships fled to Australasia to find refuge. This arrangement has become permanent, and with the economy now in depression, affording it has become difficult. A solution must be found soon. AOS industry tree is quite powerful, can easily get a massive military factory advantage above the other factions. That's pretty cool. I want to know how to get victory for the Guards in Australia. Can I do an Imperial one? An Imperial, what, playthrough? See Australasia go commie quite a bit. I've never seen that happen. In all the games I've played, Australia has never become a communist. Democrats can get the third son of George V as Governor General. Syndicalist or AFM because the others are kind of just the Entente's pet. I don't mind being the Entente's pet. I'm kind of deciding that the Entente is actually the faction I like the most because they are the underdog. They're scrappy. They have abilities, but they do have to like fight together. We are in an economic depression. Daily political power cost plus 0.25. That's horrible. Production efficiency cap -20. Factory output -20. Construction speed -20. Resources to market -10, stability -10. Australasia's economy is never particularly strong. In the aftermath of the Weltkrieg has only made it much, much worse. Opportunity is not present and people cannot find jobs. Radicalization is beginning to take root across the country as more extreme solutions are to be considered. We've been bled dry. Recruitable population factor -20, war support -25, surrender limit -10. We gave everything we had in the Weltkrieg and then some. And it shows. Nearly everyone who knew someone who died far from home for a war that meant nothing in the end. We have no desire to see such a thing happen again, not unless it's absolutely necessary. Anzac Spirit +10, division recovery rate +5, attack +5 defense, -2 organization. During the Weltkrieg, the Australian and New Zealanders were the most aggressive and managed to keep their form in spite of their questionable discipline. Out of line, they were undoubtedly difficult to handle, but once in it, they loved to fight, and they were a curious mixture of toughness and sentimentality. Then the reduced Legation City's dividends, -2, and then +2.5. Alright, so the one that we definitely want to get over is the economic depression. I wonder what's going to happen when Black Monday hits. If that's still going to have an impact on us. What is New Zealand's infrastructure? I don't know. That's a good question. Level 5, level 6. Factories are almost maxed out, and then the South Island factories are almost non-existent. Curious whether devs are going to fix all the issues still broken in Hearts of Iron 4, or are they focusing on making money via DLCs? I mean, they've shown a fair willingness to fix issues, but the very fact that they've already announced the pre-release for this game, the pre-orders for this game, I'm not hopeful. Like for people have asked me what my overall opinion of Imperial to Rome is. Cautiously optimistic for that one. Leaning more towards optimistic than cautious. Johann's in charge. It looks like it's going to be good. It's a new franchise. Seems to be shocking the arm. I think cautiously it's going to be good. This one, I'm just cautious. Like, we've been burned too often with expansions for Hearts of Iron, and I don't like the fact that they've... Why would you do a pre-order? You don't even know how much this is going to cost to develop. So how can you put a price tag on it? You haven't even started. Stellaris is on the Steam sale with all DLC for 67 USD. Yeah, it's pretty good. And Stellaris is a fun game. You'll get a couple of plays out of it. Australasia can be real annoying with the many naval invasions those Anzacs launch. Yeah, I know. That's kind of what I'm hoping to do. Ah, crap. Except for the state of amphibious landings in this game. I did not think that one through. Oh well. So we're going to do the industrial one as usual. I don't know, we can do State of the Economy, so we'll get a bonus for that. Or the Australian research thing. State of the Royal Australian Navy. That's quite a few choices. What's that? Everything is built 10% fast. No, submarines, destroyers, light cruisers, heavy cruisers are built faster. Naval bases are built faster. Dockyards are built faster. Dockyards produce more. Ooh. Is that an either or? Requires one of the following. No, so it's those or those. Okay. State of the Air Force. Yeah, I was thinking of doing like lots of naval bombers. Sorry, not naval bombers, strategic bombers. And use what we can as bases. And then State of the Army. So where is the... Remove bled dry. That's one of them. The new Anzacs. Okay, that's a pretty... Ooh, encryption +1. That's interesting. And then focus on mobility, which is... motorized. Minus 50% reduced ahead of time penalty for RP3, high explosive, general purpose and motorized. I have no idea what those are. Faster anti-tank, land doctrine, mountain tech, asymmetrical warfare training. Everyone gets urban increases. Oh, now that's interesting. Or jungle. Huh, okay. Or quality. So mobility or quality. Support artillery and infantry equipment. Recon companies, airborne tech, marine tech. Gain logistics company 1. Get an elite unit in Sydney. And then these are just different. Alright, so we're not locked into any doctrine in particular. I might well want to go mass warfare just so I can get the extra manpower unlocks. Death or Dishonor. Yeah, I was very, very disappointed with Death or Dishonor. Apparently from some of the devs I talked to, fuel was not even a guarantee till the last second of the expansion. Yeah, apparently a lot of the developers were surprised when Dawn announced fuel. They're like, okay, I guess we're doing that then. The only of the focuses in Death or Dishonor that I actually like is Czechoslovakia, which was really good. I did like Czechoslovakia. Just seems when I watch Mordred, and he's far better than me, he spends more time fighting the game than the enemy. Recently it's felt that way. I don't actually have that much of a problem with Together for Victory, because it added the puppet system, and I don't mind that. Like, the changes in the puppet system were kind of necessary, especially for things like this, where you have the Entente. Although I don't like that it completely nerfed India. Anyway, right, what am I doing? I think I'm going to go for the State of the Economy. We will then need to choose one of these to do. I don't know which one we will be choosing just yet. We'll get to that, I think, in due course. And then eventually we want the new technologies. So we can get up to 5 tech slots at least, which is cool. The Australasian economy has been suffering from a severe depression for the last 5 years. We must assess where opportunities lie and prepare our industry to be properly expanded if we were to have any hope of pulling ourselves out of this quagmire. Okay, next thing. Let's actually choose what commander I want in place. How can I just remove? There we go. Right, so let's choose. So Field Marshal first of all. This army is actually surprisingly mounted, surprisingly quick. Both of you are old guard. Well, I mean, Blammy seems to be the only real option here. Blamey, Blammy, Blamey. Actually, Blammy, you're a soldier. You make things go blam. You're actually pretty good. Max planning, planning speed. Actually, you know what? I quite like you. Then we have a Desert Fox. We have an Organizer. So you're good at attacking, you're good at defending. You're also really good at planning. Interesting. A Hill Fighter. You know what? Hills come up a lot. I do like Tricksters. That recon bonus is very nice. Artillery Specialist. So if we were going superior firepower, then Laverack would be a good choice. Cavalry Officer. That cavalry also means motorized. None of your stats are nearly as good. So it's really going to be, do we go offensive or defensive? I think right now we're going to go defensive. Like, Desert Fox doesn't feel like it would do anything for me. Also, having better logistics would be a good one because it would reduce the supply consumption. The other choice actually would be Stevens. Nah, we've got to go with one of these two. I think we're going to go with Freiburg. Also, you're not an old guard. We'll do that. Alright, so you had a choice here. Logistics Wizard, minus 20% supply consumption. I do like me Charismatic, but Logistics Wizard does not come available very often. We're going to take that. No, we're not, because we can't afford it. Never mind. But that is what we were going to take. Right, next thing. We need you lot to start training. And I'm going to start scattering you around our coastline to make sure this all gets defended. And I guess Tasmania, New Zealand. Is that mine? I think that's mine. Is that all the territory? Is there any way that I can see what I actually own? There. Doesn't look like there are any other random islands. Okay, so it's just this area. Cool. That should be easier to hold. Right, finally. Navy needs to go somewhere. Northern Territory is a bit of a crappy base, moderate base. Alright, we're going to base you both there. You need to have an admiral. You're a level 3, that's fine. Actually, you know what? I really like traits. Probably more than level, because you can level up more easily enough. Superior Tactician Spotter would probably be a better choice. I'm going to put you in charge of that. I'm going to put the other admiral in charge of the subs. So you can actually spot convoys and sink them. Hopefully. At this point, didn't get Waking the Tiger, only play Kaiserreich at this point anyways. Yeah, Waking the Tiger will add some stuff like the decisions, which I think Kaiserreich are going to go completely bonkers with. I was a little bit disappointed that there were so few in the first place, but obviously they had to do a lot of porting. So I'm expecting Kaiserreich to do really impressive things with Waking the Tiger's features, decisions in particular, and then also stability and war support. They just haven't been able to yet, because they haven't had it for long enough. Yeah, Germany gets more industry because they have more slots for factories in their states. It's more urban. Basically, the more urban your territory is, the more factory slots you get. Wish Paradox did something like Firax's Long War. They brought them on board to consult and give them internal access to them. They do, actually, already do that. Paradox actually have an employee whose job is to liaise with mods and ensure that the mods get sufficient support. So, for example, if you look at the Europa Universalis 4 patch notes, you will always see there's a very large part which is like new mod scripts. That's all because of that guy. And they do give copies early to the modders, and also they have a lot of interaction. Like, I know the Mio and Tax people saw Imperial Rome before other people. They saw it at the same time that we did, even though they're not press, because I think Johan was gloating slightly because I think he's lifted their population system and used it in Imperial Rome. But that also, like, Paradox put up the Kaiserreich and the Mio and Taxis people and gave them a booth and everything like that. So Paradox does actually do an awful lot to support them. It'd be nice if they hired them outright. And actually, one of the the Kaiserreich artist has actually been commissioned by Paradox. So you know the loading screens and then the posters. If you've seen the posters for Kaiserreich, Paradox have hired that guy and got commissions from him. So I think that Paradox have plans to like create their own posters and stuff, and he's going to be making them. Kaiserreich devs do great work, and I'm friends with the former modders. Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier, Cromwell, which I don't want to get into. Like I said, I really felt like the Kaiserreich session, which they stood up and like talked about what they were planning to do, was just them airing their laundry, and I did not like it. That stuff they really need to keep to themselves. Why would you broadcast the problems you're having? But let's not talk about that. That's not the kind of speculation I want to encourage. That's cool. Just there's your. Don't do it. He also said, for anyone curious, that Kaiserreich posters may be sold online sometime in the future. Yes, they were hoping to have that in place before ParadoxCon, but they weren't able to get the logistics sorted out in time. But that is something that they are hoping to do in the actually fairly near future, I think. Alright, status of the Confederation. Formed in 1924 as a result of the Consolidation of Resources Act, the Australasian Confederation is the combination of the British... Wow, that's a nice sentence. The Consolidation of Resources Act, the Australasian Confederation is a combination of the British Australasian Dominions, Australia and New Zealand, as well as the territories of the British New Guinea and Fiji. The years since the Welsh Creek have brought great change and hardship. The war strained both society and the economy, which in Australia manifested itself into short-lived Melbourne Commune. Although disowned by the then ruling Labour government and put down by demobilised Australian Imperial Force veterans, this resulted in the implementation of the emergency protocols, the suspension of elections and the appointment of William Birdwood as the Governor-General. Since the British Revolution in 1925 shook the empire to the core in Australasia was unable to prevent the loss of territories to the Germans. More than 10 years on, the situation is unstable as the economy remains stagnant and domestic dissent continues to grow, with Birdwood alongside his ally Billy Hughes' Nationalist Party barely holding things together. Advance, Australia! Onwards! Should have got Wrangle. I bet he would have got the posters out. Yeah, probably. Low popularity. Civilian support for the ruling party has reached an all-time low. Elections in the Antipodes were suspended by the emergency protocols enacted in 1923, which also led to the dissolving of the autonomy from the separate New Zealand Parliament. However, elections are now set for March this year, after Stanley Bruce successfully campaigned for their reintroduction. Governor-General Birdwood was forced to make this concession when Bruce defeated Hughes for the leadership of the Nationalist Party. Bruce's decision not to act as an unelected Prime Minister resulted in the expulsion of his faction from the Nationalist Party and Hughes' recall as PM. However, the public would not accept the government reneging on its commitments. Australasia can ill afford a repeat of 1923 as the spectre of Melbourne remains flesh in the minds of many. I know that Mordred would buy a Wrangle poster. Damn right I would. I would replace my glorious green screen with a picture of Wrangle looking on benevolently in the background, watching over everything I do. Assassination of Kerensky. Okay, we don't actually have a shortage of guns. I mean, we're probably not making very many. In fact, we should probably take a look at what we are actually producing. So let's just go ahead and get rid of all of those because we're not producing any. We have a grand total of 4 military factories. Our armies, what are you comprised of? So we have infantry division 2s, who are artillery, and then the regular infantry, who are not. And how many of each do we have? Actually, we have a fair amount of artillery. And we are actually really short on equipment. Oh no, that's manpower. We're really short on manpower. Interesting. Okay. So we have the guns, just not the people. In that case, I think I'm actually going to do that because I want to upgrade the one unit who does not have the artillery yet to being the artillery. So we're going to need 12 pieces of towed artillery. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And now I can actually just go ahead and get rid of that template entirely. And we are now upgraded. So this is just the infantry template. So I'm just going to go and default you. Okay. Australasia Day. Today the nation is celebrating the Confederation of Australasia, and while the Confederation was not voluntary, having been initially formed by the British invocation of the Conservation of Resources Act in 1924, it still brought many benefits to both Australia and New Zealand, such as the common belief crowds are lining the streets from one side of the country to the other in order to celebrate the occasion. Gain 1 stability. Since when did Australia get covered in green stripes? That's because I have garrison set up. The Totalist Charter, Mussolini, Valois, Beria and other interested parties arrived in Birmingham today. The passing of George V, the ousted King of Britain, George V, has finally succumbed to the illness that has plagued him since the Revolution swept through the Home Isles. His son, Edward, has ascended the throne of the British Empire, including that of the Australasian dominions. While many in Australasia mourn, there are others for whom the King's death has resurrected memories of the Welsh Creek and the disaster of Gallipoli in particular. They have taken to the streets to demand a separation of the nation from the British Crown, as well as the Entente Alliance. So the syndicalists and the paternal autocrats have grown in strength and stability has gone down. Victorian bushfires. The state of Victoria has been hit by heavy bushfires in the northeast and southwest. Because of the intense heat and drought over the last few years, much of rural Victoria has dried up, leaving plenty of fuel for the flames. The fires at this point are so incredibly intense that the ash and smoke can be seen from New Zealand. Firefighters, with the aid of the state government, are currently fighting to combat the disaster, with the flames already threatening several major cities and causing considerable panic. Edward VIII crowned King of Britain. Invitation to the Imperial Conference of 36. Canada has invited us to the Imperial Conference in 36 to discuss matters relating to the matters of the British Empire. It would not do if the Australasian Confederation did not have a voice at the thing. Hey, my quacks. Okay, guys, I'll be back in a minute. Gotta go by Stellaris. Nice. Bushfires finally extinguished. Oh man, that was difficult. The fires in Victoria have finally been extinguished thanks to the efforts of local firefighters as well as the overdue dense rainfall. This victory has come at a cost of 71 lives and over 1,000 homes destroyed, and the burning of almost 135,500 hectares of land. Currently, Judge Leonard Stratton has been selected to lead a royal commission into what led to the disastrous fires, though many suspect farmers or graziers in rural areas to be responsible due to their long-standing practice of burning brush to clear new land. How was PDXCon? It was really good. It is definitely like one of the highlights of the year, going to ParadoxCon. I'm definitely going next year. They're really good. Like the opportunity to meet with the developers. Last year my highlight was getting to meet the developers. It was absolutely fantastic. This year it was meeting the other streamers and YouTubers. Like I met Drew Durnall, I met Alex the Rambler, I met Quill18. Shenrir was there, which was really cool. I got to thank him in person for that 900 viewer host he gave me while playing Stellaris a couple of months ago. Who else was there? Solar Gamer, Ultra Hill. Trying not to forget anyone. Game Gabster. Midgeman was there. Lionheart, Gaming FTL. I got on really well with Lionheart, actually. That was very, very nice. He's a big Total War streamer, so we were like swapping war stories, and he's trying to transition his Total War channel, well not transition, but trying to add Paradox content to his Total War channel, while I'm doing the opposite. I'm adding Total War content to my Paradox channel. So it was really cool. It was really, really nice getting to meet all those guys. Marbozir was there, always an absolute gentleman. Really cool to talk to, Marbozir, actually. Very down to earth. And then, of course, the fans. I can't forget the fans. I actually got recognised a few times this year, which I didn't last year, including that guy from California. So yeah, a couple of people when I went to... Which one was it? It was the game creators session, I think, where a couple of people stopped me and said hello. And then a few times when I was just standing talking to people and I was introduced or I introduced myself, like, oh, you're Mordred Viking, including Groogy. That was hilarious. We were out drinking in one of the bars near ParadoxCon on the Sunday, and I was talking to Groogy and a couple of other people around us and handing out my business cards, and then he looked at the business card, looked at me, looked back at the business card. You're Mordred Viking! I know who you are! I was just like, yes, that's how I want to be recognised. Was a Roomba by there? Any chance there? No, he wasn't. Maybe if I can find a new job that pays more than the absolute minimum, I might be able to go next year. Do you think it's worth it if you're not media? Yes. Because the only thing the media access gave us, well, there are two things. The media access gave us access to the press area, which was basically just a way to get away from the crowds, and also had private computers so that we could record content, so that we could post up articles and things like that. That was more for the print press than for us, but it was still pretty nice to have just a place to get away from it all. And then the second thing is it gave us access to the developers for what is essentially an extra day, in which we could ask more pertinent questions. We could really dig down and drill like their plans, like the ability to block off areas of the sea zones. I don't think was really talked about. That was me probing them. Like, I really went to town on Podcat about the naval matters because obviously they're of interest to me, and it was really good to have done so. But if you are just a regular attendee, you will still get that opportunity. You can still talk to the developers on the other days, and they are very often around. They are very friendly. They're very easy to approach. They're usually wearing like bright red shirts or something, so you can tell who they are. So met Starnan, met Katz, met Groogy, Zeke, obviously, Johan. Spent a long time talking to Johan Podcat, Henrik Farius, the CK2 dev. Former CK2 lead dev, and many others, like too many to really mention. And it's all the faces like you see from the developer clashes for EU4 and the other games that they do on Paradox Extra or on YouTube. You get to meet them all. It's great. And play games with them. Like, they have loads of computers set up and you can set up ad hoc LAN games and play against other people. What happened to the Egypt game? I finished it. It's being uploaded on YouTube at the moment, but it's done. Who am I playing as? I am playing as Australasia right now. Any vlogs or videos coming up on YouTube from ParadoxCon? Possibly. I probably ought to do a video about my impressions of the various games, especially Crusader Kings. Oh my god, that looks good. I can't talk about it until tomorrow. But Crusader Kings 2 looks absolutely epic, so I can't wait to talk more about that tomorrow. But yes, I probably should just do like a summary overview type video. I might do that tomorrow. Need to record it and edit it. That's always the problem, is I'm terrible at editing. Glad I finally caught the start of one of those games also, yeah. Alright, the goal of the Empire. The Prime Minister of Canada gave a rousing speech of retaking Great Britain from the so-called Union of Britain. The British Empire cannot be called British without liberating our fellow Britons, be they English, Welsh or Scottish, from the horrors and tyranny that exists within the Union of Britain. Great Britain will be liberated and free. Ballin Starlin. ParadoxCon was fun. Seems like someone bribed Mordred with cool shit. Nah, just messing around. No, it was really good. It absolutely was really good. And the only thing that they really bribed me with was copious amounts of Earl Grey. Okay, that's a pretty serious bribe. 3 cheers for the Empire. Huzzah! 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 Indian Empire. The delegate from Delhi has just stood up and delivered a stirring speech about how we must aid them in liberating the rest of India from the chains of the anarchists and the traitorous princes that broke up the crown jewel of the empire. The delegate also spoke for some time about the trade benefits of the Entente if India were united, and how it could play a key role in retaking Great Britain from the traitors. For India and the empire. Actually, that's not a bad shout. I think I should be gearing up to go and support the Dominion of India against these two. And just ignore Europe for the time being. Man, I'm not used to playing this far away from Europe. It's going to take me forever to get over here. So yeah, I think we're going to be gearing up for a war in India. So let me see. That's going to be a lot of manpower floating around, so we need to be able to kill a lot of manpower, which would technically be superior firepower. What companies do I have access to? Soft attack and breakthrough. Soft attack, hard attack, breakthrough, defense, reliability. I might actually take the colonial ammunition company. Okay. Artillery, soft attack, breakthrough. Hardness, max speed. Heavy tanks, soft attacks, hard attack, max speed. Wow. Their medium tanks are good.